Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're watching Daybreak here this morning in the company of Clarice Oganga, the chairperson of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. Charles Owino, formerly the spokesperson of the National Police Service, currently serves as the Director General of the National Communications and NCC, also joined by this morning Dido Raso, the MP representing Sako constituency and a member of the National Assembly's Administration and National Security Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, many thanks for staying with us. Charles, you are on a point, the second, other than the command that you had explained, so please proceed.
Can I remember? It was about IPOA. First of all, it is important for Kenyans to note, and I've repeatedly said this. In 2004, the command in police came up with a strategic plan. And one of the recommendations in the strategic plan that the police came up with is they wanted to have one service. They didn't want Kenya Police, Administration Police. They wanted just to have one national police service under the command of an Inspector General. That was their first request. Number two, the police wanted to have a police service commission that would undertake what the Public Service Commission does in terms of human capital, because they felt that they work in very special circumstances and they wanted a commission that would look into their affairs. And number three, the police wanted to have a civilian oversight. And the reason why the police wanted to have a civilian oversight, there were two reasons at that time. One was that they felt that in many cases, when they had incidences, like for example, somebody has been shot, somebody has been killed by police, somebody has been offended by the police, then they felt it was not fair for themselves to investigate. Because as a colleague, when I investigate you and I find you wrong, sometimes people take a beef with the other that you are simply unfair to me. So we said, let's have a civilian oversight that would carry out investigations, especially into complaints against police. Okay. But most importantly, the police also felt that they cannot have a union, because the nature of police work, you cannot have trade union in the police. But the police equally suffer. They also wanted an institution, and they thought IPOA and working together with the Police Service Commission would look into their affairs and would be the voice to push in and say that we let police have good houses, let police have, because police cannot speak for themselves. So this never happened. So when the post-election violence came in 2008, the strategic plan was 2004-2008. We can say the post-election violence was a blessing in disguise, because when the post-election violence took place, then we had the Waki Commission and then the Kriegler. And we presented all this, unfortunately, with the Constitution 2010, we got IPOA. So it is to the interest of the police that they have IPOA. And then we came up with the internal affairs in the Act so that they work together with IPOA.
Thank you.
So IPOA is not an institution that is against the police, but it is an institution to strengthen the police, and the police are in support. The only conflict may arise is when somebody becomes malicious in the process of carrying out investigations. But if investigation, and you remember even before IPOA and all these other institutions, through the DCI, many police officers were still charged, especially those who committed crimes, whether it is murder, whether it is theft. Any police officer who committed crime was still investigated and charged. And in relation to what she's talking about, the Corona bill, it is a general agreement that we need to have a coroner that would be able to investigate on cases that we think that maybe police are involved, and therefore criminal matters, which may be, so that we can be able to be sure that the investigation is carried out professionally.
Thank you.
And it also helps us in managing conflict.
Honorable Dido, let's now shift attention, and this is concerning what was recently launched by the Ministry of Interior, still subject of interest for your committee, and the Jukwaa la Usalama report, an aggregate of the meetings that the CS has conducted across the 47 counties, which established 130 operating goons in the Republic of Kenya, Nairobi leading the line. And is it concerning from where you sit as a member of that influential committee and being a member of parliament, given the level of the epic proportion of violence that they emit, especially when deployed by parties that we'll be discussing here? And what do you think is the remedy given the establishment of the numbers that we have?
Thank you very much, Ayub. I think listening to the minister, first of all, I think Jukwaa la Usalama, we must thank this government for taking an extraordinary initiative to approach the people, because it has never happened before. And it is always good to listen to the voices, different voices across the land, to get to understand what are the teething issues. I think it was a result of that finding came out. And what this country must never allow is rise of hooliganism and gangs and armed groups. That is what brought down countries like Haiti, because everybody was creating the enclaves. In the 1960s, this is what happened in America, in New York, where gangs carved up areas for themselves, and even police would not approach those areas. It will even become very difficult when you are looking at democracy. In 2027, Kenyans are going for a general election. What happens if every politician or every group have their own gangs? It simply means that there are no-go areas for Mr. X, Mrs. Y. You will have carved out a scenario such that the individuals who are likely to go for public offices are those ones who have the largest number of gangs. And there's no difference what happened in Somalia after the fall of Siad Barre, where warlords came up. And warlords came up as a result of every clan organizing for their own security. And this became small armies. In the end, that contributed to a large extent on the FRAC side in Somalia. So for me, listening to the minister, what we must not allow, whereas civil liberties of association, that you can enter groups, and most of these fellows, when we attempted to understand as a committee, the jury is out for us to go deeper with the Ministry of Interior to get to the bottom of it. But some of it is just an association where they play pool. Others, they go like a football club. So their real intention is conceived in something that they're doing something within the communal areas. But I think what I must say as a legislator, if we want to maintain a unitary state, Kenya should not allow the rise of gangs, hooligans, and organized groups, because that eventually will lead into a syndicated crimes group, where there'll be a group that will be robbing banks, there'll be groups that will be controlling routes for sending marijuana or even bang. So that is very dangerous.
Madam Chair, coming to you, and Charles, of course, I want your response on this. John Kamau, historian, pointed out about this menace, that today's goons, like the IS, they are not anomalies. These are products of an enduring structure, born in the colonial state and era and perfected in post-colonial Kenya. They do not merely disrupt rallies or beat activists. They communicate power, reminding the public that politics in Kenya is still enforced through fear. It's an admission that we have all seen happen in the country. Madam Chair, for your case, chairing this very instrumental committee, given what has happened in the past year and this year, going into high-stakes election, given the political environment into 2027, it's a red flag, is it? It's an alarm that shouldn't be ignored.
Yes, I totally agree with you, because the issue of goonism is not new to Kenya. We've seen it before when we had the Mungikis controlling the transport industry. But the worrying bit is that now it's done openly. It's done, before it was covert, But now it's done openly. There's no accountability. And if you look at the demographics, and I was speaking to some youth the other day, the goons mostly are aged between 18 to 30. So mostly they are youth. Most of them are unemployed. And a lot of it has to do with politics. And a lot of it has to do with unemployment and the demand and supply. The supply of youth who are ready to make money through any means. Having a conversation with some of the youth, they even gave us figures of how much people are paid. If you're a goon for a governor, you get almost 3,000 Kenya shillings. If you're a goon for an MP, you get almost 2,000. If you're a goon for an MCA, you get almost 1,000, and on a daily basis. So it's also an issue of social economic, issues around livelihoods. And I'm happy that the report by the CS, picked up on some of the issues that we as a commission have also noted. And I think also one of the worrying bits is when also government agencies are using the goons for service. And I'll give you an example. We are currently dealing with a case where a chief in a place called Nyabondo uses goons to deal with issues of illicit brews. And we have a case that's reported where one of the goons has actually hacked one of the residents of that area. So for me, I think it's quite worrying that it has moved from private citizens, politicians using goons, to even government agencies. And also just looking at the current, the by-elections that has just concluded. It was worrying to see sometimes the police looking quite helpless, even in dealing with the goons. And for me, that's the area that I think we really need to focus on. If they are criminals, the police have a mandate to arrest and to take any legal action against the goons, irrespective of whether they have been hired by politicians or by private citizens. And I think the other worrying bit is just business entities using goons to protect their properties. It means there's loss of public trust in the security agencies and the work that they can do. So a lot of work cut out for security agencies to affirm what their mandate is in terms of work around rule of law and public order. Yeah. And for me, that is worrying. Even as we go towards elections, we will see a number of youth. It's a livelihood issue. If I can make 3,000 in a day, which I cannot make maybe from a mjengo or from casual labor.
Depending on also the availability of that.
Yes. So it's really a livelihood issue. We need to look at it from that angle, but we also need to look at it from the perspective of law and order and the role that the police plays.
Yeah. Yeah. Charles, she pointed out a very valid concern, socioeconomics, but also should we be concerned from national security perspective and the threat this poses to our stability?
Yes, that is true. Just like Mheshimiwa has put it, that it's a very bad signal when people break away from respect to rule of law to people getting to get protection. Like this chief she's talking about, who is using goons to fight illicit brew. And I don't want to justify, I can give you history. You saw the other week the president giving instructions to IG to deploy police officers to support chiefs. Because these chiefs, when we started with the Chiefs Act in the 40s, that's how we started administration police. It was called TP, tribal police, where in a village they were recruiting the tribal police, like in Kiambu, to protect the chief when he's enforcing the Chiefs Act. But we took away the police, the APs from the chiefs, and then we deployed them to police stations. Now, what's happening is that you find that when a chief is under pressure to fight illicit brew, but the chief has no protection When you go to the den where people are drinking changa and the chief is alone, madam, the chief finds himself, so he's torn between doing his work and hiring some people. And in the process, this is illegal. And what comes out is very wrong. So we talk about the rule of law, obedience to rule of law. And that is why, madam, we are still talking about you getting money and educating people. Because let us also give the police some teeth to bite. Don't just make the police appear that they cannot take any action.
Which I agree.
Are you getting me? Because the impression Kenyans have lately given is that you can do anything and the police will do nothing. Because even as a policeman, because I've always said, why are we giving these policemen, why are we not telling people the truth? That we have justifiable circumstances when a policeman may use his firearm. Why are we giving them these firearms in the first place? If they should not use them at all. I'm sure, madam, I don't know that you have bodyguards. Me, I don't have.
But the last time you told me you're a career cop.
No, I am. Even as I speak to you,
yeah.
I'm a policeman paid by government. So what I'm saying, and that is my career for the last, I don't know, 30 how many years. It even looks funny to say you've worked for 30-something years. What I'm saying is, let us give the police the power. Because if we don't come up with the rule, we don't...
for instance, what specific powers do you seek?
No, what I'm talking about is we admit that police can be justified to use force at times. Like I've said, they can be justified to use their firearms. The impression we have given is that as a policeman, if you attempt, then what will happen? The next thing should be on your neck. IPOA will be on your neck. Everybody will be on your neck. And then you will find the policemen pulling back. And then we promote the gangs. But that notwithstanding...
Yeah, but it's not, Charles, before you proceed, I'll give you the time you finish up.
Yes.
It's not the pulling back of the men and women in uniform.
Yes.
With respect, of course, this is not broad-based condemnation or wholesale condemnation of their work. Of course, we appreciate what they do. But because this Goonism culture, it has been politically fashioned and politically funded, politically fueled, and justifiably so. If you look at even you pointed out, for instance, the colonial Kenya, the British built a regime of indirect rule empowering local chiefs, tribal police, and loyalist militias to discipline African populations. These intermediaries, the chiefs, the headmen, the home guards, were African agents of imperial violence, authorized to whip, evict, arrest during the Mau Mau War, and to kill. It's not pulling back of the police why we have goons. It's because of how we have structured the politics of our country, why today the goons are
Actually, I've not come to discussion of goonism.
Yeah.
What I'm discussing preliminarily is just to say that let us educate our people to understand that the police have a role in maintenance of law and order. Let that one be accepted. And let us also not just fear, let people respect the police, because apparently people don't respect the police. But it is not just the police. Even the police themselves, they also need to carry out themselves in dignity, also to earn that respect, because that respect must also be earned. Because we are also not just going to support a policeman whom himself is a goon. In Nairobi, the way you've been told, if you go to Eastlands, or what I've seen happening lately is somebody just comes to your plot and he occupies it. And when this person came, occupied your property, and he has no document, you hold legal document, you have your title deed, you go to police, then the policeman tells you need a court order to remove that person. I don't know that you are getting me. So you ask yourself, somebody has come to my property, I have title, he has no title, he's a goon, now I go to court to get a court order to remove him. It's a fallacy. It looks bad. But then if you look at it, you find there's some conspiracy between them and some of these people. Yeah. So you find like you go to Eastlands, and it has extended even to the upmarket areas where people just comes to somebody's property and they do that. You go to Matatu industry, people take zones, goons, you find Matatu is not run professionally. It's run by goons. And you find that there's so much money exchanging hands. It now comes to politics. We are talking about goons. And you know we are going for elections. And that is how now the police and IEBC have to work closely together. And IEBC will have to be very strong to an extent that if Kenyans, the politicians, will see a politician getting disqualified to run for a position at the last minute, no matter his political affiliation, because people also take advantage. For example, you find that somebody is in the ruling party, but he takes advantage, and at the end of the day, he gives his own party a bad name. He has not been sent by the head of his party leader, to bring goons, but he brings goons. Okay. And then he sits there and he tells the police officer that, you know, I'll transfer you. And in some cases, it happens. So what we are saying is that it is important when it has come from the minister himself. And he has admitted that they are goons. And I'm sure going forward, the minister will be able to protect his commanders in police against these people, to an extent that if a police officer takes action against goons of a particular politician, the minister, the IG, and the general administration will be able to protect this officer who will be taking action. Okay. Because the officers are also careful. If you know I'll be transferred simply for dealing with a goon, then he rather keeps off because he's human. So what we are saying that because it has come from the minister, I believe, because the minister is a young man, and I believe he is going to ensure, because they have a longer future, he's going to ensure that his officers are protected against these goons who threaten them.
Thank you. And also officers should not escort and accompany goons who are meandering the city, as we had seen on footage.
Actually, action in such cases, actions should be taken against officers.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles. Honorable Dido, socio-economically, how can this problem be resolved, given the young people who form the political economy of this goon republic are young Kenyans, underemployed, unemployed, uneducated in many circumstances? What is the socio-economic mindset that needs to be changed?
Thank you, Ayub. Maybe before then, I just want to talk about IPOA and the Human Rights Commission. I think the drafters of Constitution 2010, in their own wisdom, they felt that there must be a body that can oversight the government. But they are embedded within government. And for a lot of people, they feel that IPOA is a nuisance to the police or the National Police Service. But sitting in a powerful committee that sits at the apex of oversighting government, we have come to realize that IPOA plays such a significant role. And also on the human rights, one of the Constitutional Commission that is also embedded in government, financed by government, but they oversight the government so that they are able to guard what I call guarding the guard. The guard is supposed to secure everybody, but somebody else must look at them that they are not overstretching the boundaries of their responsibility. When you look at the issue of what you are raising, if there's an incident and the police put up a tape, they put a yellow tape that this is a police line. Yeah. You know, naturally, in law-abiding countries, and ours should be one of them, a citizen is not supposed to cross that line. As soon as you cross it, then just be prepared to be arrested because you don't know why that line has been put. Because on the other side, the law enforcers are here, and you are told, don't cross here. So what often Kenyans are doing, they are stretching the police to the extent that that line is no longer tenable. So that is why you will see that violence against the citizen or violence against the police, and a lot of our demonstration, I think actually is not demonstration, is fight between the citizen and the police. And that is why in the process, a lot of people get injured and killed. So people must begin to agree to have a law in place that guards the guard, also their rights are secured, and also of that citizen who wakes up in the morning to make a case that they want to highlight a particular problem that is within the society. On this issue that you have asked me of young people, I think the idea of goons, I don't believe is largely contributed by employment. You know, we come from different societies in this country, and people have different opportunities. Today, when you look at, you go, for example, to a place like Eastleigh, is cosmopolitan, but there is a large population of Somalis. Large numbers are in business. If you ask, why do you have goons in Eastleigh? Then is when you say that some of it is criminally intended. Because a lot of the sort of casual work that goes on in Eastleigh malls, it's not done by Somalis, it's done by other Kenyans. But you can still see young Somali boys and girls or Cushitic stock sitting somewhere, and you are told, you know, this is gang is called this by this name. So it has nothing to do largely with employment. It's about people thinking that the easy way of making money is for us to threaten a group. They come to Ayub, a businessman, and then they demand. So for your own safety and safety of your business, you say, okay, I will pay you.
Extortion rings.
Yes, extortion rings. So one of it, which even as legislators we have found out, is largely predicated by the quest for quick money by young people. The second one about this issue of employment, or that the youth are idle. As parliamentarians, we go to almost all the regions in this country. There are areas where instead of locals doing some work, it's like they import labor from some other region. Let us say in the farming areas, like Uasin Gishu, Nandi, and even I noticed some parts of Nyanza. Because the locals are not willing to do that, because they would like to do other things. Then there are those others who really want to work to earn that 500, 600 shillings in a day. So they will do that. But the locals will say, what is 500? When I can make 1,000, 2,000 from doing some other chores. So this particular government, I think this is what also we have been talking in the budget, that what is it we can do with youth? And that is why from the previous government of President Uhuru Kenyatta, they started talking about things like Uwezo Fund, Youth Enterprise Fund, so that youth, instead of now these goons becoming a small militia, they can form groups that can go into business.
Okay.
And I think the idea of that there are not many jobs, it might come at the tail end. it cannot be used as a first excuse.
Okay. How much has politics contributed to the current status, in your view, as a politician?
Thanks God, in my region, we don't have goons or hooligans for political mobilization. We don't have it, and our people will not go into that because Mohammed is on the other side. Guyo is on the other side. They know each other, they know their families. So we rarely go into that. But when you look at what recently happened in the by-elections, it is just the tip of the iceberg, how these elections are likely going to be very violent. And that is why I agree with Mr. Owino, who is saying here that IBC and the National Police Service, they must immediately start to form rings around even potential hotspots. Because what I see is that, let us say my competitor is a lady in some region. Ladies are not quick at forming goons. She wants to give her aspiration to the electorate. Okay. But if that young man or that man has goons around him, then of course he will be telling his goons, that lady should not hold any kind of campaigns. She should actually be closed in her house. So it is about might is right, and that is what we should not allow in this country.
Okay. And Madam Chair, then how much of an attention should come from your side? Because yesterday in that press conference, as observers, you were denied access to some polling stations in contested parliamentary by-election constituencies, Mbeere North to be specific. How much of this is going to be extensive in the nature of this happening during the general elections, and what then preparatory methods will you deploy?
Thank you. Maybe just first to add on to what has been said. The goon issue, I think, has really been contributed a lot to by politicians. And maybe just back to what I'd said about conversations with the youth. Their biggest motivating factor is when they see a goon turned politician. That is the biggest aspiration that some of them have. So you can see goons turning into politicians plays a key role in some of these upcoming goons, seeing it, as a potential career move from being a goon to being a politician. And back to the report that we issued yesterday. For us, the by-elections was just a tip of the iceberg and an indicator of what's likely to happen in 2027. And the Commission has provided very good recommendations to IEBC and to the National Police Service. And one of them is really to ensure that we implement the laws fully. Because the laws are very clear. If you contravene electoral laws, then ideally you should be banned from even running for an election. And maybe the mistake IEBC did was not to fully implement that law during these by-elections. Maybe they should have banned the two who contributed to the deaths of 2 people in Kasipul. So for us, we are looking at how will IEBC fully implement the electoral laws that requires that people abide by the code of conduct for politicians. And our recommendation to them is very clear, that you must fully, align your operations to what the law says.
Okay. And Charles, what then causes inaction on the part of the National Police Service and the security agencies when a member of parliament in broad daylight is assaulted in a polling station, which is a gazetted area, and no one is arrested in that regard? Like what happened, I'm speaking about Peter Opondo Kaluma in Kasipul constituency.
I am not sure, because I can't tell that nobody was arrested, because from where I sit, I even got calls from my village. There are people from
What did they tell you?
Area who traveled all the way to Kasipul, and they have been in custody, actually. They were just taken to court on Monday. Yes, they were taken to court.
They were part of the goons.
So the police arrested goons in Kasipul and they were taken to court.
The point was the action part at that moment when happened, because that was live on our television.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we can't play that clip because of the violent nature of what happened to the lawmaker.
But they were arrested.
Within the polling station.
No, they were arrested.
Thereafter, though.
Yes, they were arrested.
So is it not appalling when an action happens and there is no action?
It depends on if it depends. You have to look at the situation. Are you going to create more violence? Are you able to arrest the goons? How many officers do you have at that particular place, at that particular point? Remember, the MP had a right to campaign for the candidate of his choice, but that was not his constituency.
No, to receive.
Yes.
He was the chief agent. Actually, the campaign time was over.
Yes.
He was to receive his candidate, so there was a mix-up, then it was...
All right, fine. It's not right for anybody to assault, not only the MP, any other person.
And his gun was snatched in the polling station, the bodyguard's gun.
Quite a number of places they have snatched. But fortunately, police have been able to get into action and arrest. So what I know is many a times police have managed to arrest goons and have them taken to court. But as usual, you know, politics is politics, and he understands it better than me. So many things happen under waters that you may not be able to explain. But I think for the part of the police, they try their level best to ensure that individuals are arrested in such cases. But what I can also say is that what happens in a by-election is usually not similar to what happens in many elections. Remember, by-elections, the focus is always on those few seats. So you find that if you're a member of a particular party and you come from even Mandera, you'll find yourself going to Kasipul. All of them, and putting resources there. But during general elections, all these gentlemen will be busy in their own individual constituencies. I don't see much happening in the similar way that it happened in the few by-elections, because you find that there are interests. Everybody is in Mbere, because it's only Mbere, Kasipul, and we even had elections in Ugunja.
Yeah.
There was no interest. There was no interest because it appeared as if it was obvious there was a person who was going to win. But places which are highly contested, even Malava, you saw people pushing resources there. So I don't expect much problems in 2027. The indicators of what took place in this by-election may not be similar. These MPs will be very busy in their respective constituencies. Nobody will be going to another person's constituency. So I think that as much as there are indicators, but it cannot be similar during general elections. And police have always been up to the task, especially in organizing, planning, securing elections. What we just need to do is education.
Thank you.
Voter education, and also I'm still insisting the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights need really to support government in terms of education, to tell people to believe in the rule of law.
Okay.
And also, Madam, tell Kenyans that you'll not stand with them if they go against the law. Even if it is the policeman who will use force against you, if it is justified. So that we talk about justification, so that we also don't give the police leeway to a blanket protection.
Yeah.
But equally, we must protect the police.
So to put it in summary, anyone who contravenes the law should shoulder the consequences.
Exactly.
So let's sample the feedback and then I'll give you your last words here on the broadcast. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422. Frank Orinde says, Kenya's state of human rights is increasingly alarming. Protesters face excessive force. Dissent is criminalized. Institutions meant to protect citizens are either silenced or compromised, while economic pressure deepens every day. Violations of dignity. MC_Ruma says, from police brutality to extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, the report lays it bare. A system failing its own people, shrinking civic space, unchecked power, and leaders who treat human rights like favors instead of guarantees. Bob Otiono says Kenya is becoming a gang republic because they are sponsored by political elites. To make it worse, we have witnessed government too taking advantage and using them during the concluded by-elections. And Felix says individual responsibility on a police after being given a direct order to shoot sounds unjust. A commander should take the full responsibility on the same. Charles has just explained that. It says, according to Clarice Oganga, goonism has become a source of employment. This is sad. Why take someone's son and pay him pennies to harm another person and to us, the youth? Once we are used, we are dumped and nothing happens. Let's stop this hooliganism, please. This is a point of concern and a clarion call. Yes, your final words.
Thank you very much, Ayub. I think there is an area which we have not touched on.
Yes, please.
Is our courts. You know, if the courts do not process certain cases very quickly and decisively, then people will think it is normal for me to do what I'm doing. The police nowadays are very reluctant to take people to court. And I think that is why even the issue of extrajudicial killing are likely to happen. Because somebody says, in any case, if I take him to court, he will just have a scratch on his wrist and released, and tomorrow he's back at the same spot. So for that reason, in all this we are saying, the court must come decisively. And also, they must send a signal that you can't break the law and get away with it. Secondly, I think the issue of rule of law. Yeah. We have seen countries that have gone down. And they have gone down simply because they have started shaking at the edges, and it eats away the core. Okay. And everybody will now run for their survival. Thirdly is the issue of everybody thinking that it is the politician. And I think in every constituency there is one member of parliament. There are never two.
There are 290 of them.
Yes, 290, but from a population of 47, 48 million. So no politician is above the law. If actually a politician is breaking the law, then that person must have their day in court.
Thank you.
You talked about the issue of Honorable Peter Kaluma. We come from the same committee. And on that day, we called him, because it was all over the social media, how he was attacked, and he was being dressed, blood all over his shirt. And he explained how he was attacked. And I think Kenyans also must begin to develop a culture of tolerance. An election is not the end of life. Okay. Because you can lose today, you can win today, but you lose tomorrow. Okay. So somebody must always work for tomorrow.
Appreciate it.
Finally, between Human Rights Commission and also the National Police Service, I think they must begin to work together. Because Human Rights Commission, they are about the good order and law in this country. If they work together, they can correct a lot of things. And I believe that a report is as good as the paper it is written on. Okay. Not enough. Something must be done in the end. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I think maybe just to conclude on that is that we must begin to have a conversation in Kenya that rights also comes with responsibilities. I think that is the missing link that we have challenges with. Mm-hmm. For citizens also to acknowledge that they have duties, they have responsibilities, and they cannot break the law just because they have rights. And I agree that conversation between NPS and the Commission is very critical. And it has been done before. I can give you an example. In 2022, Mathare was documented as a hotspot. But because of the conversations between human rights people and the security agencies in Mathare. Mathare didn't have post-election violence. There was no violence recorded. So it's a possibility, but we must start with a conversation that rights are not, absolute. And human rights is everyone's business in Kenya. It's not just the business of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights.
Yes, Charles, 30 seconds.
Thank you so much. As we put it, one of the biggest, actually the biggest gain for Kenyans was in the Constitution 2010 was the Bill of Rights, the Human Rights chapter in the Constitution. But what we need to say is that this is our beautiful country and we need to protect it. And every Kenyan that has put it with the chair that as you enjoy your rights and fundamental freedoms, you don't prejudice the rights and freedoms of others. And therefore, I feel good when she says that they need to work with NPS to ensure that there is education across the country to understand that you enjoy your rights, but don't prejudice the rights and freedoms of others. We need the police. The police is the prefect of the society. We need a more advanced police. And even Parliament and even committee, we urge you, give police more money, especially for training and for equipment, so that we have a more professional and we become proud of our police service.
Thank you. Asante. Madam Chair, thank you. Charles, thank you. Honorable Dido, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you on the other side of the break here on Daybreak. Stay with us.